Okay, now that we installed Nexpose successfully, let's see how we can run that tool and see what that tool is. I know we spoke about it a lot and we went through the installation process, but you still haven't seen what the tool does. So the first thing before we can run the tool, we need to make sure that the database that comes in with Kali Linux is turned off, because Nexpose uses its own database. So if we have both of them running on the same port, they'll conflict with each other. So the first thing we're going to do, we did that in the previous lecture as well before we installed Nexpose, but I just want to make sure that you have it in your mind that every time before you run Nexpose, you turn off your database. So you do it using the same command that we did it in the previous lecture. So at service, host, stop, and that will make sure that the service has been stopped. Now we're going to navigate to the location where we installed Nexpose. So unless you change the location during the installation process, it should be installed in, so we're using the cd command to navigate, and it should be installed in opt rapid 7 Nexpose, and then the file that runs the server is stored in the directory called nsc, and the file that you want to run is called nsc.sh, this file. So we run it just the same way we ran the installer before. As I said, to run an executable, you always use the ./ and then you write the name of the executable. So it's nsc.sh. Now, running this for the first time might take some time, so just let it do its thing until it runs. And once it finishes loading the framework, we'll see how we can access it and use it. Okay, so the tool has loaded successfully, and as you can see that it's telling us that we can browse it using the following URL. So what we're going to do now is launch our browser and just paste the URL that it just gave us. Now, it's asking us to log in, so log in using the username and password that you created when you installed the tool. So my username was Zaid, and I'll put my password. Okay, and we logged in successfully, and you can see that the first thing it asks us to do is to enter the product key. Now, as I said, this is a free version, and when you downloaded the tool, you had to fill out a form. So in that form, you put your email address, and then they send the product key to your email. So I'm just going to go to my email and get the product key and paste it here. Okay, so I'm going to post it now, paste it, and click on activate the key. Now, as you can see, the activation is successful. It's going to refresh now. Now, I actually paused and resumed the video because the activation takes some time as well. I just don't want to make the video boring. Now, as you can see, this is just showing us information about the license. So everything is activated and we're good to go. So I'm going to go to the home from here, from the left menu. So this is the home page of the tool. And as you can see now, everything is empty. So before I start talking about what everything means, let's go ahead and add a target, and then we'll do a test and we'll see, because this stuff will be filled after we do a test. So the first thing I'm going to do is go on create and go on a site to add a target. And I'm going to call this target Metasploitable. And I'm going to go to the assets, and we're going to add the target. So the target can be arranged the same way we added it when we were doing the network penetration things with ZenMap. So you can add a range, or you can add a specific IP. So in this, we're actually targeting the Metasploitable machine. So we're going to add our target, which is 10.20.14.204. Confirm this here. This is our Metasploitable machine, 10.20.14.204. And we're going to add this to a group, and we call that Metasploitable as well. Or we'll call this test. So this is our group name. Now, in here in the authentication part, if the target uses some sort of authentication, so nobody can access the target unless they need to authenticate with some sort of a service. For example, if it's an FTP service or a web HTTP authentication, a telnet, or an SQL server. So you can pick it from here, put the domain, username, password, confirm your password, and that way the framework will be able to authenticate with that service and test the security of your server. Now, our server doesn't use any type of authentication, so we don't need this. Also, if you're targeting a web application and the web application has a login page, for example, for users, for example, Facebook, let's say you're targeting Facebook, then you won't have access to most of Facebook's features unless you log in with using a certain username and a password. So again, using this feature here, you can log in and then test the security of your target. And the templates is where you select the scan type. So it's very similar to the scan type with ZenMap. We've seen in ZenMap we had a quick scan plus, and intense scan. This is the same. So each one of these profiles is different. It scans different things. For example, we have the full audit here, which takes a lot of time, but pretty much checks for everything. Then you have a full audit, enhanced logging without Web Spider. So a Web Spider is a tool or a script that finds all the files and directories in your target. And the default one is a full audit without Web Spider, so that's the one we're going to be doing. And you also have network specific profiles, you have web audits as well. So I really encourage you to try all of them or most of them and get yourself familiar with them. Now we're only going to try this one because using them is the same, which will be scanning for ICMP, TCP, and UDP ports. So I'm leaving that the same. I'm going to leave the engine the same as well, which means it's going to use our local engine, which we installed, instead of using the one that is provided by Rapid7. And the alerts, you can set up custom alerts so that when a vulnerability is found, you get a notification. And the schedule is a really, really cool feature. Now, say you're working for a company or for an enterprise that keeps pushing new code every day. Or, for example, maybe your code, you do a test today and everything you're working on is good. Your web servers, your programs, your applications, everything is up to date and there's no vulnerabilities in them. Let's say tomorrow you pushed a new vulnerable code, or maybe tomorrow someone discovers a new vulnerability with a program that you're using on your web server. So you're not secure anymore. So this feature allows you to schedule this test so that it runs every week or every hour or every month, depending on how critical it is. So all you have to do is just go in to create a schedule and create the schedule. So you can put a start date and an end date, and you set up the frequency from here for every day, every Thursday, every 26th, or depending on what you want really. You create that schedule, and then every interval that you specify, the scan will run, and even you can get it to produce a report for you, so you can go over the report and see what's changed or what has been discovered. So everything's good now. The most important part today, or what we did here, is you put your target here, and the next thing is you select the template. So we have both of them selected, and we're going to do save and scan, which will save this configuration and start a scan for us. Now, as you can see, our asset discovery is in progress. I'm going to pause the video, and after that, we will talk about the results that we got.